You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Calling to order the meeting of the RPMUD Board of Directors on Thursday, January 27th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the meeting for the December 8th meeting. And I don't think, I didn't have any questions or comments on it.
I don't either.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I have one, I can't remember what it was now.
All right, do you want to look at it?
But I was just trying to look it up. I thought I had one quick question, but nothing to answer. I guess I'd move we accept the minutes of November 10th meeting.
No, not November 10th, December 8th.
Huh?
December 8th.
December 8th.
Oh, why am I got December 10th?
Huh?
Do I have the?
Should have December 8th.
You should have December 8th. What's this one?
Okay, but I'll still.
Well, that's the agenda.
That's it,
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and make it the 8th.
December 8th?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, second item on the agenda, receive comments from the public. Do we have anybody that signed it? Mr. Horner?
Public, you got any
Do
comments?
you have any comments?
Let's scratch out his name.
Took care of it.
There you go, see? Okay, that was easy. All right, number 3, sale of 1.675 million unlimited tax park bond series 2022. I'm gonna turn it over to you guys.
Sure, the first item is to open the bids and to consider the order awarding the sale of bonds, so I'll turn it over to Warren to talk about the pricing of the bonds.
Okay,
Good evening. These are my favorite days. This is the most exciting, some of the most exciting things that we do in our
Sure.
job.
I hope it came out good.
It came out great.
Good.
I'd like to start on page 4, and I'll jump back to page 3 in a minute. But we had a lot of people looking at your credit. I think there were 7 or 8 broker dealers who signed up to bid.
Okay.
And it's not uncommon to have a few less submit a bid. But this morning bids were due at 11 a.m. And this morning, when I got to the office, there were 7 or 8 broker dealers that were signed up to bid, and that is a lot. To receive 5 bids, that is also a lot. I would say that's either about average or more than average. And really, the reason that so many broker dealers were considering submitting a bid was because Build America Mutual, which is one of 2 insurance companies that insures municipal bonds, did approve your credit for insurance. And so there's sort of 2 different universes of broker dealers who operate in buying municipal bonds, and there's those who only work with non-rated, non-insured credits, and then there's a larger universe of broker dealers who will participate once the credit is rated and or has insurance. So I want to thank Taylor and I want to thank Davis because we had a lot of back and forth with Build America Mutual. You know, as you can imagine, they were very concerned about the number of homes that were in the 100-year floodplain and the number of homes that had flooded. And so there were 3 or 4 or 5 rounds of questions back and forth and discussions. And I think we can say today that all of that time was well worth it because we got them over the finish line and they approved your credit. Assured Guarantee did not approve the credit for insurance, just so that you know that. So here you can see the 5 submitted bids. The broker-dealer that is probably the #1 most active participant in buying municipal utility district, to be more specific, not just municipal bonds, but municipal utility district bonds, is Samco. You can see they submitted the 2nd place bid, or what we refer to as a cover bid. And then Raymond James, I would say, is probably the #2 participant. So they submitted the winning bid, 3% for 30 years. You know, a lot of municipal utility district debt goes out 25 years. This was 30-year debt. And we also look at the distance between these two to see how tight they were, you know, to see where most people kind of clumped together and then there was a bid all by itself, you know, did Raymond James get confused and submit a bid all by themselves? And they didn't. You know, this difference between 3% and 3.01 is about as tight as you can get it. I've seen tighter, but this is pretty close together. So, and the fact that, you know, again, Samco is kind of the standard maker, so it really feels like that's right where your credit would be. So I'm very happy, obviously, about that. You know, you always want to have multiple bidders when you have a competitive sale. Just to talk on this page a little bit, you can see sort of the competition. I think you heard me say this in November or December, and I'll say it again. I do think that you're helped by selling in January. There were weeks in October where there were 25 municipal utility districts selling in a single week, right? And you can see here your competition was much thinner. Specifically today, Paseo del Este is a well-known name. It's a large master plan community in El Paso, actually. However, so there's multiple municipal utility districts, but this one, number one, is just, you can see that it's also non-rated and actually was non-insured. And the winning rate for that one today was about 3.3%. So you can kind of gauge the benefit of the insurance was about 30 basis points, but I just wanted to give you some of that context.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
On page 4, the last bank listed, UMB Bank,
Yeah.
it has the highest percentage rate and it's in gray. Is that because it has a higher percentage rate?
No, the reason that it's in gray is because, so this is the, this gives you kind of, this is a screenshot of the parity software. And there's multiple screens in this parity software, so this is just one of them. So the reason that it's in gray is because they just gray out every 5th one. So if you had 10 bids, if you had 10 bids, you'd have 2 gray ones.
Okay, all right.
And the only reason it isn't in blue is because my analyst clicked through these 4 bids because he was trying to see if which ones used insurance. Insurance is used at the discretion of the underwriter. So on the next page you'll see the premium that was quoted, or it's actually not on the next page, but I can tell you. The premium that was quoted was $60,000. And so I think all 4 of these, and I'm not sure about UMB, but at least all 4 of these determined that that was worth it. So they submitted their bid with the insurance.
So being gray means absolutely nothing?
Nope.
Okay, all right.
All right, I'm gonna look at kind of page 5 and page 6 together. This is another one of the parity screens. This shows you, you know, the way that this bid, the way that we arrive at this single number of 3.000529% is by looking at the coupons that Raymond James or any other bank submitted together with the yields. And the yields is another way of saying the prices. So these are the prices that Raymond James, the initial offering prices that Raymond James will offer each one of these bonds, okay? And so then when you take them all together, you get a net interest cost, which is the 3.000529%. So this is where you can see the coupons and the yields and the prices. Not sure if we've discussed this before, so this might be a new concept, but I'll mention it now. And this is why I sort of want to look at page 5 and 6 together. You can see the first, what is that, 7 maturities are as you kind of would expect, and that M is confusing. You see it so much you don't even think about it anymore, but when you're seeing it for the first time, that M means 1,000. I don't know why the IPREO software is like this. So the first 7 maturities are as you would expect. You'll be retiring principal. This is the same way that it appeared in the application that went to the TCEQ. 15,000 later this year, 25,000 next year, 30,000, etc. And then what is very common, especially with these sort of smaller than $100,000 maturities, or frankly smaller than even $1 million maturities, is that underwriters will term up multiple bonds. This makes it easier for them to resell them, to market them. And so that's what you can see here. From 29 to 33, they've termed them up to a single bond. From 34 to 42, they've turned them up to a single bond, and then there's a term bond in 46 and a term bond in 51. But if you see on page 6, this has sort of a minimal effect on y'all, because you will continue to retire principal every single year. And that principal will be legally and economically defeased every year on September 1st. Okay?
So the principal amount that's listed,
Mhm.
that's what we're paying off every year?
That's what you're paying off every year.
Okay,
Yep. And so then the interest is a function of the coupon.
yes?
You know, the yield and the price is what they resell them at, and also comes together to determine the original issue premium, original issue discount. But the interest is just a multiplication by the coupon, and then the debt service is principal plus interest.
Okay.
And then I always like to include a little sort of market context for you all, so you can kind of, you know, this is a snapshot, and if you're like me, you keep these books all the time and read them on the weekends. So you can see where the market was on the day you sold your bonds. And so you may have heard me talk about municipal market data. This shows you the municipal market data since 2009. You can see how low interest rates are compared to 2013. I mean, they're lower than they were in 2017. I mean, we really are, if you look at the broader picture, we're still at all-time lows. And then in this blow up here on the right-hand side, you can see what's happened over the last 12 months. We really hit a low point last February. And then most recently we hit a low point kind of in the middle of December. And I think you all are aware that rates have been going up really ever since the middle of December. Rates have gone up more than half of a percentage point. So I'm not promising that if you had sold on December 15th, you would have been at 2.5%, but that's the math.
But we projected 5 or 6.
Yeah, 5.
5.
So we're well under
Oh, yeah.
our projection,
Yeah,
which is great news.
I should have calculated
The difference.
the difference in interest, how much you're saving, but it's
Substantial.
yeah, it's probably a couple $100,000 at
Well,
least.
yeah.
So, when it comes to competitive sale, what you really want to see is many bids. I don't want you all to be spoiled, we may have future sales with only 3 bidders, or hopefully not less than 3, but maybe 2 or 3 or 4 bidders. But 5 bidders is great. I spoke to my underwriter today, the RBC underwriter, who hadn't looked at this deal. He's not really interested in River Plantation because he can't bid on it. But he was just sort of describing, the market is getting choppy and it's kind of moving in the wrong direction for them. So I'm happy we were able to bring this to market in January. Who knows what the next 4 and 8 weeks will bring, but he said, it's kind of getting ugly out there.
I was gonna say, so not a good outlook for the other bonds that we have?
Well, we're not pricing those in the next 8 weeks.
Right.
So, I mean, there's so much water that's gonna go underneath the bridge between now and then. Davis was just promising me that Omicron's gonna be all done in a few weeks.
Yeah,
and
but
so-
you know what? USA Today's headline, what was their headline this
What
morning?
was it?
The economy's the best it's been in the last 37 years.
Right,
Sure.
2021,
Inflation's not bad.
2021
They
was
were
a great
talking about
year.
the Russian economy.
And,
Huh? No, they were talking about ours.
And so, I'm sorry. Go
well,
ahead.
I was gonna say that RBC put out a lengthy piece in December, kind of predicting good things for 2022, sort of a difficult first quarter because of Omicron, but basically every quarter after that, inflation going down, and they were optimistic.
So the fact that we had 5 bidders, does that mean we were somewhat of an attractive, we were the pretty girl out there that people wanted to ask out for a date kind of thing?
Well, yes, so Paseo del Este was non-rated and non-insured, which is the main difference. And so none of these 5 bid on Paseo del Este.
Oh,
It
wow.
was 3 totally different bidders. So you had their undivided attention today. And, if you look at the rest of the week, there were 1, 2, 3, there were only 3 other deals before you. There were only 3 other deals this week. I guess February 2nd is next week. So, for a long time now, there's been a lot of demand for municipal bonds. And more specifically, there's been a lot of demand for municipal utility district bonds. So that demand is continuing, that's still hanging in there, and Yeah, everybody wanted your bonds today.
So if we were eligible for insurance for this bond, do they have to reevaluate for the next one?
They will.
Okay.
They will definitely reevaluate, and, you know, as long as there aren't any major red flags, you know, the financial picture remains steady. I don't see any reason why they would not approve your credit again. I think my office is gonna continue to put pressure on Assured Guarantee, because the only thing better than getting one quoted premium is getting two. Let's get both companies to approve the credit. And, you know, what would be natural is for them to quote a lower premium to make it even more attractive to the underwriters to accept the insurance premium, so.
Right.
Well, and hopefully our financial picture is turned around.
Absolutely.
And we are operating in the black every month now.
They had questions about the litigation and the flooding and
Right.
fund balances, and there were a number of, you know, legitimate questions, to be answered. So, I think it is a real, accomplishment on behalf of RBC, and obviously, you know, saving that lower rate, you know, results in pretty significant savings to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, Lauren. Thank
Yes,
you,
thank
Taylor.
you.
Thank you, Davis. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Good,
Terrific work.
yeah.
So,
So now we're gonna get writer's cramp, right?
that's
Yeah,
right.
once Davis runs through his thing, I'm gonna
Oh,
notify
that's
the
all.
underwriters once you make your award.
Is that who we're doing, Raymond James?
Yeah, Raymond
Okay.
James.
So the first item, and we can address these, together, and y'all just let me know, right? Because I know I emailed you all of the documents to review in advance. I now have them, all of the blanks filled in with the information. You know, when we sent you the documents, we didn't know that Raymond James was gonna be the low bidder, or what the interest rates were, or whether or not they were using insurance. You know, that basic information has been filled in. So the first item is to consider awarding the sale of the bonds. The next item is the bond order, which is that kind of core issuance document that we sent out. And what the bond order does is it really memorializes the terms of the official statement that we distributed. It is really the document that issues the bonds, right? So it creates, most importantly, the obligation of the district to levy a tax to pay the debt service on the bonds, right? So when you issue unlimited tax bonds, you agree to issue a debt service tax that is sufficient to pay your debt service on the bonds. And so whenever we consider the tax rate every year, you know, Lauren or someone from RBC will be here to present a recommendation on the debt service rate. And so they'll actually go through and kind of model your debt service over the life of the debt and make a debt service tax rate recommendation based on your value and the outstanding debt and the fund balances that you need to maintain on an annual basis.
And it would be a separate line item as a tax?
That's right. So it'll be two separate taxes now.
Right.
Your maintenance and operations tax, which you levy
Everyday
now.
tax.
That's right. And then your debt service tax. The reality is, when you see other taxing jurisdictions, your taxpayers, I mean, it will be, there are two separate taxes that you are levying, but it is a combined rate that, you know, shows up on a county tax bill, right? So when you see a school district tax rate, a portion of it is maintenance and operations rate, and a portion of it is debt service, right?
But they don't separate it.
That's right, and yours won't be separated, but you will technically levy, when you adopt the rate, you will adopt two different rates for a combined rate, if that
Gotcha.
makes sense.
Yeah.
The next item is the official statement. Remember, we saw the preliminary official statement and kind of discussed it last month. That was the offering document. In that document, there was the notice of sale, and then there were a number of blanks, right? And again, similar blanks to the blanks that were in my documents until today, which were, you know, we may have insurance. Now we know that we're gonna have insurance, right? We know who the buyer of the bonds is. We know what the interest rates are. And so that information will go into the official statement. And we need to approve the official statement today, really for compliance purposes. We have to get it out to Raymond James in relatively short order, because Raymond James is gonna turn around and, you know, likely sell the bonds, right?
Sure.
Resell them on the market. They buy all of the bonds, and then resell them in the market. The payment agent is Bank of New York. And so, when you make debt service payments, you will make the payments to Bank of New York, and Bank of New York in turn will pay the bondholders, right? So you will write a check on, you know, twice a year to Bank of New York, and Bank of New York will, you know, pay the bondholders. These are all electronically registered, and they'll be responsible for that kind of administrative aspect of it. You can obviously imagine it'd be impossible for you to keep track of who all the bondholders were in the open market on a you know, on a regular basis.
Right.
And then we have an item E that is for certificates, resolutions, and orders necessary to deliver the bonds. Those were all included in your packet as well. And those are what I'll call compliance documents that are necessary to obtain the approval of the Attorney General. Things like the certificate of map, right? So we have to get a certificate from both the district and from the district's engineer that say, this is the district, this is the map of the district, right? We have to get a certificate of incumbency that tells the Attorney General who the district's board members are and who the officers are. We get a certificate of no litigation that says that there is no litigation that is pending or threatened challenging the validity of these bonds. Obviously, you have the litigation associated with the acquisition of the site itself, but no one is challenging whether or not you can legally issue these bonds, if that makes sense. And then a general certificate, which is, you know, much as it sounds, general information about the district and compliance matters. So, does anyone have any questions on the documents? There'll be a quiz after the.
I'm assuming that, yeah. So Raymond James is gonna take possession of all of our bonds.
So.
They're gonna have the big wad of $1.675 million worth of bonds.
Right, they are the single purchaser, and so the way the process works is we approve the documents for the sale of the bonds today.
Mhm.
We will not close on the sale of the bonds until actually the morning of February 24th. I mean, it typically happens, you know, kind of first thing in the morning. But it will be the day of your next regularly scheduled meeting,
Okay.
right? We need about, you know, 30 days to get the transcript to the Attorney General's office, obtain the Attorney General's approval, get the comptroller's signature, and be ready for closing. And then the morning of the next meeting, the transaction itself will happen. You know, you'll get the wire, the cash will come into your accounts, and Raymond James will then be the owner of the bonds, right? Until that time, we'll hold the good faith check. And you know, then we will, you know, move forward with the use of the proceeds and everything. And that's really the reason why we set it up that way. Because just with everything that was going on, I thought it made the most sense to close the morning of the meeting, so then you could consider the use of those proceeds for purposes of the settlement agreement at the meeting that evening. So Paul's here to talk about that when we get there. So.
That's exactly what I was looking for. It's like we're buying a house now, essentially. We're waiting to close on the deal, and we've got a certain amount of excitement, and let's get it done. And February 24th is our target date now. So we've got something to look forward to.
That's exactly right. My expectation is to come to you on the 24th and say, Lauren and I will say we successfully closed this morning, and then we will be ready to address the settlement matters and the use of the proceeds.
Okay.
Yep. But we do need, in order to sell the bonds, and Lauren's sitting here patiently waiting to let the underwriter know, we do need to approve the items included in A, B, C, and D, A, B, C, D, and E, as reflected on your agenda and distributed to the board prior to the meeting, and as I have here for your signature today.
So we've done
Do
A.
it individually?
Yes, I think that'd be great.
Okay, do I have a motion to open the bids and order the awarding of the sale of the bonds?
I make that motion that we open the bids and award sale of the bonds.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. B, approve the bond order for sale of bonds. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make that motion.
Order now again.
The,
That's the document that is kind of the core structure of the deal. That's the kind of longest document in your packet, and most importantly, creates the obligation for that unlimited tax. It memorializes the terms of the official statement.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bond order for sale of the bonds.
I'll second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve the official statement? Did you get that?
I did not get anything.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the official statement.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yes, if you would, please.
Okay,
Use my other one
okay,
until I make sure the MUD email.
okay, okay. Approved, do I have a motion to approve the paying agent agreement?
Bank of New York, I make a motion that we approve the paying agent.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And E, approve the certificates, resolutions. Do I have a motion to approve the certificates, resolutions, orders, and all documents necessary to complete approval, registration, and delivery of Series 2022 bonds, and authorize the president, the secretary, and consultants to take all actions necessary to complete approval, registration, and delivery of the Series 2022 bonds?
I so move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
You're
We're good?
good.
you're good.
Okay.
Congratulations.
All right.
If you have your signing hands ready, I wish Gerard, let's see if we'll get it figured out.
Oh, yeah. Can we have Mark, well,
Yeah.
as the
I think
assistant?
we'll just go ahead and have Mark sign, but I probably have, you may need to talk
Okay,
tomorrow to get some more
okay,
stuff we signed.
okay,
Figured out.
Okay.
okay. You want us to start signing now or at the end?
I will
Mark,
tell
right.
you,
We need to
there's a
start
lot to
now?
sign. You can wait till the end, you can sign during the meeting, however you prefer to do it, so.
Why don't you start one of them at one end and one of them at the other end?
It's really just president and
Oh,
secretary.
it's just us. Great. Richard, can I borrow a pen?
Does it have to be blue or black?
Oh, that's right, it's gotta be blue, hold on.
Blue would be great. I have another blue pen right here.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so can we continue on while we sign? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the engineer's report. Taylor. You're muted.
Hey guys.
Okay.
Yep, I'm getting there, sorry. Hey guys, so nothing really new to report. Everything was covered on the recreational bond. The WS&D bond received Davis's comments. Lauren was gonna wait till the bond sale to give me his financial section back. So once we have that done, we'll get authorization to submit the bond, and that will be underway at the TCEQ. And we'll kind of start this whole process over again for the WS&D bonds. But we're hot on the heels, ready to submit it soon after these bonds are sold. The only other thing I have to update is the annual stormwater management plan report is underway, and we'll be ready to submit that prior to the March meeting, which is due at the end of March. So, just staying on top of all that stuff. Nothing else to really report on.
Okay,
All right?
that's good. That
Thank you,
means
sir.
nothing's wrong,
Thank you.
so, okay. Okay.
Do we have to date these? while we're
Oh,
signing
no,
them?
you don't, we'll date all the documents.
Okay. So, can I make a suggestion that we move
I think that's a great suggestion.
Mark
I
to
wasn't
the
very nice to
up,
Mark
so,
on it.
yeah, so he doesn't have to sit here all night? Yeah. Mark,
I only see
we're
you
gonna
guys
look at
once
the
a
audit
year,
report.
so, I only see you once a year, so I don't mind waiting. Good to see you all. I handed out the draft audit report. It is the same that I emailed out previously. I do provide an unqualified or clean opinion on financial statements, which is a good thing. Review the work performed by your staff and consultants, make sure that your customers are being billed the proper rates from your rate order, and if a cap is set, the proper fee is collected in advance of that. Make sure the tax assessor levies the tax using the proper tax rate, and that any adjustments to the property values were authorized by the appraisal district. And finally, make sure your bookkeeper is handling your funds in accordance with your investment policy and the Public Funds Investment Act, and keeping the books properly. I always have some minor adjustments in each of those areas, but nothing significant was found in the course of the audit. It has been updated with the park bond authorization, and I'm disclosing that you sold those bonds today. Kind of thought that might happen.
I noticed that you had assumed that and then you had put it in the report.
Yeah, so we were required to, all the information is as of September 30th, but we also monitor for subsequent events to make sure that we're disclosing any events that happened after September 30th through today's date. So we have done that. And next year I'll update for the WS&D bond authorization. That information is still as of September 30th. So that's what I have to report. I'd be happy to take any questions or comments that anyone has on the audience.
Good.
I would point out, since we have some fairly new board members, that on the very back, one of the audits are not fun to read, but one of the most useful pages is the next last page, which is a 5-year comparison of revenue and expenses. And capital outlay expenditure, I typically will take that out and kind of look at and see and assess how well the district is doing, because that can be something that you've been waiting 25, 30 years to do, and finally you're doing it. So the year that it falls in is kind of happenstance. And it could be a wet year or a dry year, the ground could crack, you could be replacing a lot of lines in one year looking at it from year to year doesn't have as much value as the other numbers and seeing trends in the other categories. So I just wanted to point that out, and also say that if you do have any questions on the audit report that you don't want to take time up in a meeting, my office, we're happy to take calls and answer any questions you may have, and the district won't get a bill for that time. Even if you're used to seeing audits of private entities, they're different than governmental entities, and some of the terms are a little different, but happy to take that time with you and answer those questions. So other than that, I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
What constitutes a capital outlay as far as these numbers go? What do you consider capital?
Capital improvement, any long-term, basically adding an asset that meets the requirements that you've established, which I think is $5,000 is typically what I see. So like an individual meter, I might term it as capital outlay because it's not a repair and maintenance item, but I don't add it as an asset to your asset schedule because the individual cost of a meter is less than that $5,000 threshold.
Okay.
So there's some judgment that is used in that, but I don't want to have something that would be a TAP expense, and maybe you opened up a new subdivision section and you had $100,000 in TAP expense. I wouldn't want that to just fall on repairs and maintenance, which, and as you look at the comparatives from year to year, wonder in a few years, like, why were we at such high repairs and maintenance that year? So something like that I would leave as capital outlay, even though I'm not capitalizing it. But it's basically long-term improvements to your infrastructure,
Okay.
as compared to mowing or cleaning a line or something along those lines.
We make a motion to
Yep.
accept the audit report?
We do, and need to authorize its filing.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the audit report and authorize the filing?
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for your time and attention. Just to interrupt your other signing with some new signing.
Oh,
This
boy.
is a letter of representation. I'm not a director when I watch on you guys signing all this stuff. My signature will be illegible after 5 times. But this is
Mine
just
starts out that way.
nothing lost. It is a representation letter just affirming to me that you or your staff or your consultants turned over all your records. You
Yeah.
didn't get a loan for $1 million and not disclose it to me.
Not that we know of.
To the best of your knowledge.
That's all right. Okay.
Did you want this, Richard?
Let's see, let me get that back in order. Okay, bookkeepers reports. I did have a question.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Davis, did you bring a copy of this annual filing affidavit for her to sign?
I did.
You did?
Yep, yep.
Is it in here for her to sign? it?
Yep, I got it here, or we
Okay.
can sign that one, or we can sign both.
No, this is last year's, I was
Oh.
just keeping it as a reference from you.
So right here, thanks.
So, mine is in the column. So all these deposits that we're giving back, I'm assuming people are making deposits, Richard, in exchange for these, or are we having vacant houses?
Those are all people that are moving out, we have to refund their deposit,
Well,
the
I know,
balance.
but I mean, I'm assuming we're collecting.
Correct. When new people are coming in.
Okay.
Does that show up as, on the ledger as the deposit?
Yeah, it comes in, it's in their system's totals report, it shows the
Yeah.
totals deposits.
Okay.
And it's reported as a liability in your financial statements.
Right.
You'll owe that money back to them potentially if they meet other requirements.
Yeah. There was something I was looking at, I can't find it now. Oh. Okay, do we have any questions on the bookkeeper's report?
Negative.
No? All right. Tax assessor collector's report, I'm gonna do a motion to accept all of it at once. Tax assessor collector's report, any questions on that one?
No, I'm glad to see we're getting tax income.
Yeah.
Still not much though.
No, it's not, doesn't seem as much, but
Hopefully January will be better, so. But, okay. Any questions on the tax assessor collector's report?
no.
Okay, review of the investments,
No.
I'm not making anything, but neither is anybody else, so, okay. Any questions on the investments? Okay. Payment of the district bills, approved payment of the district bills.
I'll make a motion that we approve payment
Well,
of the district's
okay.
bills.
We also have to make a motion to accept the
Okay.
other things too,
I understand.
so, you wanna do one that covers all of them?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay.
We'll get there.
No, I think that's it.
Okay. You're right. I'll make a motion that we approve all the financial and bookkeeping reports, including payment of district bills.
That's second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, Richard, you're up.
Okay, note the operating report, everything's looking good, there's no main issues there. I'm starting to include more items every month, I'm thinking of more stuff to throw in there. So, stuff that normally to me is just normal operations, but this gives you a little bit better idea of a lot of stuff that's going on. For instance, when we performed the annual inspection, the PM on the emergency generators, that means we did all the service every year on it. We change oil, we change all the filters, we run the tests, we do everything on it. So they're up to date, and which we do it once a year and that's it. Winterizing the plants is a normal thing we're gonna do, we've already done that in December. We had 38 customers that were disconnected this month, or last month, I should say, and
How does that compare to the previous month?
it's higher.
Yeah.
38 is higher?
Remember I've
Yeah.
said, when you get into the holidays, that's when people start, they'll, divert their funds for Christmas, for instance, and won't pay the bill.
Okay.
So next month, you'll see it probably be a little bit higher. And then it'll start to go back down after that.
So all the disconnects were reconnected?
Yes.
Okay.
All except for 2 that were vacant houses,
Okay,
houses for sale.
okay.
We had 1 broken 2-inch water line on Biotesh. It was caused by tree roots that put pressure on the line and cracked it. But it was a minor thing, we got that taken care of. The wastewater plant's running at 43% of its capacity. There's no problems with it whatsoever. The rest of the systems are all doing fine. No problems with sewer lines or anything, so we're good on that. Also, your systems totals report's in there. And you see that over 50,000 has gone down now.
Yes.
One of those was actually a broken line.
The one was a
One of
broken line?
these and this one here was
So
actually,
we had none over 50,000?
it one,
One.
yeah.
Okay.
And it was unfortunately in the poor guy's house, so, but,
Really?
yeah.
But those ones that are between 40 and 50 are really pumping out some water.
Mhm.
I mean, you look at their average is probably like, what, 48, 49?
Mhm. We'll go down the next month again because of the weather conditions, so we'll be okay. And I also included you the annual system totals report. That gives you pretty much a picture of everything that went on throughout the year, what plants were producing, how much they produced, the overall of the wastewater treatment plant and all the irrigation systems and everything. And it's well within range. We're actually below our annual pumpage. We went down even farther this year than last year. So, of course, Lone Star groundwater likes that, but we're still way below our average and we're doing great. And that's all I got on that.
I got some questions, but I don't know if I need to do it now or if we need to do it in new business.
Can't be new business,
Okay, can't be new business.
no, if it's not on the agenda.
I'm wondering, I have some questions. I'm wondering, are we monitoring the wastewater levels for COVID levels?
No. That's
Are we
a,
worried about COVID in the wastewater like the city of Houston is, or?
I think they're doing that to find out how many cases.
right.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're not only doing it for cases, they're also doing it for locations based on where their results are. They know that that's the area that they need to concentrate on.
Okay,
Us, we've got just River Plantation here, and our flow is way below 1 million, so we're not even required to do a number of tests that other districts do because we're below that 1 million mark.
Yeah, I will say this has come up a lot in meetings recently, and I think it's a really good question. The Harris County, the health department, has gotten some federal funds, to do testing. And they've been testing city facilities. There are some lead facilities that have been tested, but, are being tested. But it's a kind of a program where they request access, to the facilities. So, it is not, I don't have any clients where they are having their own operators, perform the testing, but have been approached by the city or health department, with a request for access to kind of monitor the area as a whole, if that makes sense.
okay. So we're not big enough to need it, or all of our functions are in one location, so it's not gonna be something where they can monitor different areas of RP.
That's correct. All of our districts, both the districts, flow to the one plant, and that's it.
Okay,
I'm not aware of a Montgomery County.
And what
Nobody,
difference would it make?
nobody in Montgomery County that I'm aware of
Well-
is doing it.
I think the difference that it makes is it allows us to see if there's a trend. If we're seeing increased numbers of COVID germs in the water, then we would know that we've probably got more serious issues in RP than we think we do. Wouldn't that be right?
I think that's very possible. I have been in some technical discussions that I'm not qualified to regurgitate, and I think that there is some complexity to the testing and the sampling
Right,
and how
right.
plants
Okay.
work and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
That lead some people to believe that data is useful for a kind of a very limited purpose. But I think that there are, probably a lot of different opinions about it, if that makes
Okay.
sense. And again,
All right.
I mean,
Yeah,
Richard might be.
I agree, and,
Okay.
and I don't know the cost of that test or the requirements for it,
Oh, I don't either,
You know.
so,
But again, all of our clients who have plants that have been tested have not been tested by the district, they've been tested by a county health department or some other
Right.
kind of regional entity that has requested access to test. They haven't been doing the testing on their own,
okay,
so.
all right. Second question for Richard. Leaf cutter ants.
Yep.
You're aware of the damage they're doing on the Charleston area and other,
Well, we already treated some sections, but
what are we treating with? Because there's.
I don't know, I do that, our exterminator company does that. I don't know what they're using.
Oh, we have an exterminator company taking care of it.
Yeah, they've already done all of plant 3 and the hillside over there and stuff like that.
Down by that hole down by the entrance, they did.
For leaf cutter ants or just ants?
No, leaf cutter ants, that takes a specific treatment for that type
Correct.
of ant.
Okay, all right. And last month, we talked about, is that on here? No. Last month, we talked about getting some equipment to work on the ditches, but you had weather issues and availability issues of equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what the status is this month of that same topic.
The 3 rental companies that I called, none of them have the equipment in-house right now. They're all out. Everyone, all of a sudden, some of the COVID stuff is starting to release and their equipment is just gone. When you go drive by Sunbelt over there, 3/4 of their entire rental fleet is off the lot. I'm on a list to get the little Bobcat.
You're on a waiting list,
I'm on a waiting list.
but people are going around you or what?
No, people have ordered ahead of me, and we gotta wait for them to turn the equipment back in.
What kind of equipment is it that you're looking for? A Bobcat?
I need a skid steer with a flat blade shovel in the front.
Have you tried any other entities other than rental equipment places?
Rental equipment
For
place is the only
Bobcat
place I
dealer?
can.
Oh, where?
They'll be glad to sell you one.
No, they rent them as well.
Yeah. I haven't tried any of those.
You might check with a few of those. Like
Yeah.
the cat dealer, the Bobcat dealer, they all have a rental facility.
You need a skid steer
Right. With a front flat blade.
with a flat blade. Okay?
They're very popular right now. People are using them in construction and everywhere.
Okay. All right. My last one is already on the agenda, so
I
it'll
got
be all
a
right.
question, would we have interest in hiring somebody that has a skid steer to come and do the work? Or is
We
that
have to
optional?
probably go out for bids.
Yeah, because that's
We
gonna
have
be,
to go out for
that's gonna be
bids.
expensive to do that. I've tried that route before
Right
in the
now, we're not
past.
getting anywhere.
I mean, if you want, I'll go out and get contractors to submit.
It wouldn't hurt to have a number, see
Yeah,
what they do.
and see when they can get to it, because I'll tell you this, Tom, I've got the trees in my yard that gotta come down. The guy called me today and he said, we can't even get to you till the end of March. And I got one that's hanging over my house, and he said, I can't do it till the end of March. So, everybody's like that,
Must be nice.
because they, yeah. So, but I'm just saying, because COVID put so many things off and pushed it back, that now they're
But
just
I also
swamped.
believe COVID's become a scapegoat. for a
Oh,
lot
I
of
know.
other things.
Oh,
I know.
Sure.
I agree, yeah.
But let me tell you something, with
COVID
what he's
ain't a homer.
charging me,
Yeah.
bidding to charge me for that,
I
yeah,
like that.
I'd be jumping on it tomorrow if I wasn't swamped with what he's charging me for those 4 trees. Yeah.
I know, it's not cheap.
No, I got 4 huge oak trees hanging over my house that I gotta have come down. So anyway,
The whole
Okay.
tree?
huh?
The whole tree?
Yeah, 4 of them. The bark has fallen off and he said they're rotting from the inside out.
Ooh, that's not good.
Have somebody else check it.
He's my 3rd guy that's
They
come
looked
look
at
at them.
about March and they'll come down by themselves.
Yeah, that's what I don't want. So that's what I don't want. So,
Okay.
okay.
Good.
Treasury management services.
Richard, do you wanna talk about that? That's the services agreement that you
Oh,
wanna
that's
get in
what that
front of the
was.
board? Yeah.
The treasury service agreement is for, remember we were gonna start the ACH draft?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's
Okay.
what that is.
Okay.
And so if the board wants to proceed with that, there's a whole bunch of stuff here you're gonna have to sign again.
Okay.
And that way we can get that started. The software and the system is already in,
Okay.
and once we get
So we
this
just have to
approved,
approve it.
we have to approve it, you have to sign it, and then I can have her move forward on the bank side to issue all this codes that we need to put in our system.
That's for the ability of the customers to pay a check online.
No, that's auto draft for the customer.
Oh, this is auto draft.
Right.
Oh, I like that. You mean I don't have to pay you 6 months ahead at a time and
You
then?
you
wait
just
for it
give
to
us the
go through?
authorization, we're glad to suck the money out of your account.
Okay. What's the cost to anybody?
I don't know yet, that's what I'm trying to find out there. She said there's a minimum cost for it because of the way our system, what it does is it creates a file and we send the file to them and then they process it. And send it through.
So, how much do we collect on average per month?
If you look
Because
at
did
the
you see
online
the
accounts.
limit? The daily limit? Did you see what that is?
Yeah, it's not.
It's not
that-
much.
No, it's not that much, and I picked a low number because it's a cheaper rate. But we're not gonna get close to that. I mean,
You don't think
even
so?
on the online accounts, we only got like roughly 95 people that use that every month.
ACH though is very different to me.
It is.
I mean, but I would use ACH before auto debit before I'd ever use online.
I was gonna say, and this only gives us $3,000 a day that we can,
No, there's a higher number in there.
it says daily limit, 3,000.
I can get that changed, but, no, I probably find-
Can,
we don't get that much even in Paystar in a day sometimes. That's more toward the end of the month. I thought
well,
she
yeah,
put-
around the 14th.
Yeah, right, exactly.
When everything's
Yeah.
I
done.
thought she had put
Yeah.
5,000 in there, or,
No, it's 3,000.
Can I raise my hand and ask somebody in the audience to help us explain the difference between ACH? Georgianne, do you know the difference between?
ACH would be auto debit from somebody's account. Online banking does the other. I mean, that's where somebody goes in and has to type out. They have control over it.
right.
Okay,
The bank, once you've authorized it, the bank just automatically does it.
ACH, the bank automatically
Right.
does it.
And you provide the bank a file every month that says how much, you're supposed to auto debit those accounts.
If it helps to understand better, the online is something you initiate to pay
Yeah.
the bill.
Okay,
The
You have
ACH
control over
is,
that.
we're gonna take it, and you gave us permission to take it every month.
I like
That's the
that.
difference.
do I have to tell you every month how
No,
much?
you only have to fill it out
You just
one
sign it
time.
one time.
You
One
sign the
time.
thing, and we put the codes in the computer that you authorized us, and every month it'll automatically draft.
It is so much easier.
But when you give them the data, they should tell you if your limit's not
Can I borrow
sufficient,
your
right?
account?
That is
I don't
correct.
wanna use
Okay.
this.
Yeah, they can tell, you can also set your limit, what you wanna do, he's right.
Sure,
So
And
if we-
usually,
Oh, go ahead, no.
usually the charge is based on what your balances are and
Right.
transaction amounts and all that. So it's real hard to determine a
That's right.
cost per,
It's just like when you're paying a credit card, if you pay over $100, it goes to $3. If you're under $100, it's only $2.50. Type thing.
But it's
but I
a,
think it's something you have to do
Offer,
with it,
yeah. Yeah. And it would stop our disconnects, probably most of them, or a lot of
It
them.
will definitely help that.
Well, and that's one difference between the online payment and the ACH, is the online payment, you're just authorizing the bank to mail a check out.
Right.
That's right.
And it could
It could
take
get
days.
lost.
Right.
And the person who initiated it thinks, well, they got paid instantly.
Yeah.
on
That's
ACH,
right.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that leads to some confusion and upset
So
customers.
ACH is instant?
It's,
Instant.
Yeah.
As soon as we send the file.
Within a day, I would think.
Yeah, actually, what we'll do is, we've already established, we will send them the file on the 5th of every month, and it'll be paid on the 2 days after that.
Gotcha.
Okay. So my question is, what happens if we go over the $3,000 daily
can
limit,
just-
like on the last day of the
We
month?
can just increase it, she said.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Do I have a motion to proceed with the ACH process?
I'll make a motion, we accept the ACH process.
Do we have a cost yet of what it's gonna cost?
That's what I was about to say, is you say a minimal fee, are we talking $1 a person a month, or are we talking?
Yeah, it's something minimum like that, it's not a lot.
where do you
Mr.
bank?
Horner has a
Well,
question.
I thought she put it in there.
No, she didn't.
My wife does all the bills, and she has problems with the companies pulling the money out of the bank.
The
She said,
ACH version?
You don't have control, you have control
Right.
of the money that you're withdrawing, and she said, once the money's out, then we gotta fight you to get it back.
But she
Understood.
doesn't have to sign up for it.
Right, but I don't know what the rest of RP would do. Now, if you're on that and everybody doesn't like it, you didn't get any use out of it.
I use it on everything. I'm a
So if you
paper.
wanted to use it on the mud, and you got suddenly a $500 water bill, and it sucks $500 out of the bank,
Yep.
Yeah,
and you wanna fight that water bill and say, it's not my problem, I didn't have a $500 worth of water.
Then we write them a check back.
They,
Correct.
Then
That's,
you-
that's what
you
I would
would-
personally do, is I'd review each case and say, okay, I can see right here, according to our records, you owed us $50, but they drafted 500.
right?
So we'll go ahead and, credit back to the account, and then we can always mail them a check.
Here is the fee
Okay.
schedule.
Okay.
Did you find?
Oh, okay.
$1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 25 free, I guess, or 20, is it 25 free? And
That's,
then,
I read that as 25, you get 25 for your first dollar, and
That's-
then they're 12
okay.
cents
Okay.
thereafter.
okay, okay.
So,
That's not bad.
if you keep large enough balances, it could be free. A lot of transactions.
Well, we're working on it. We're trying to get there. We're trying to get there, okay.
Okay.
So the first 25 are $1 and then 12 cents, that's not bad to collect our money faster.
No. I'd
And
be-
to make sure
I-
we collect
instead
it.
Instead of bill pay and mailing it and hoping it gets there in 5 days.
Yeah, or
Well-
the disconnect.
You're not gonna have 500 customers
Oh,
sign
no.
up to use that,
Uh-uh.
but it'll be valuable to someone and they'll have the option to use it.
Right.
So.
I agree.
We
Okay.
don't even have five.
I make
Yeah,
a
we do.
did we already make a motion?
900, we have
I think you did, it was
940.
already
We
seconded.
have 940.
That's right, we got 944 customers.
I don't know what it
I make the motion
Eliminate
that
some
we
of those
accept the ACH
deposit
program.
refunds.
Do I?
Or it might eliminate some of the people who move out and leave you 3 months of,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but those are mostly renters, so.
Yeah.
I second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
The
Richard.
problem with that.
Sign that and I'll
people
send it
who's
back to
gonna
her
move down are not
and
gonna
get it
be on
started.
that program.
Probably.
probably.
Still be available.
Davis, I've stolen.
Very good seeing you all.
All right,
No
Mark.
problem, you
Take-
can
have a
hang
safe
on
trip
to
back.
that,
Because
that
I'm gonna
copy.
need it.
Thank you, Margaret.
You're welcome to hang on to that.
Oh, this?
Oh,
No, that's gotta go back to
That's
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Richard's version, but he sent me
That just becomes another option.
the other document that had the fee schedule into it.
Oh, okay.
and
Oh, got
you're
it.
welcome to hang on to that.
Okay.
That's what happened to
Well,
that.
this will just become another
Well, I just
option.
printed, you sent it to me electronically.
Yeah.
I printed it out.
But I forgot to print it out.
Oh.
That's why I'm like, I didn't know what to charge it. I saw that
I
somewhere,
got
but
a question. This doesn't preclude any of the current options, it just adds another option.
Correct,
That
another
is
option.
correct. Yeah, that is where I was waiting for you guys to approve this, to take that one with the election on the web out. That's where I'm gonna put to sign up for the ACH.
Oh, we also use that, we have that e-blast that we can use for stuff, we need to start using some of that stuff. It doesn't cost anything to use it, so.
But I'm gonna change that one, take that election part out and put sign up for ACH.
Yeah, I'd like to get some results.
I was gonna say, we have 9, and then we added investment policy is 13, but it might
Move it.
make sense to do 9 and then 13.
Okay. Okay. All right, resolution affirming the review of the investment policy, strategies and objectives, and list of approved brokers and dealers.
Okay, the Public Funds Investment Act requires that you have an investment policy and that you review it annually. I like to put it on the agenda when your auditor's here, because not only do we look at it, but he looks at it as part of his audit of the district. And there obviously aren't any notes regarding deficiencies in your investment policy or problems with your investments, so we need to approve the resolution affirming review of investment policy for compliance purposes. And then, actually, I think when I put it on the agenda, Tom, who's your treasurer, emailed me and said, hey, I think we should take a look at updating our investment policy, so I think that'll be the next item. So,
Okay.
we need the resolution to show that we reviewed the current policy, and then we have a new policy to talk
Okay.
about.
All right.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So then number 13 is the new investment policy.
That is right. So, your current investment policy is a little bit, I would say, unique. Not necessarily, your investments really aren't. But I've prepared a new investment policy that really just tracks the limitations of the Public Funds Investment Act. So 2256 of the Texas Government Code basically is a statute that says you can invest in this and you can't invest in that, right? And so your new investment policy allows you to invest in the investments that are permitted by state law, right? So it will not need to be changed unless there is a change to state law, which we will monitor. And you obviously review your investments on a monthly basis. You direct your investments at a board meeting, and your investments are, you know, Tex Pool, Texas Class, Techstar, similar funds, maybe CDs at some point or something like that. But we're not talking about. You know, I don't have, yeah, exactly right. I don't have any clients
Let's hope.
that are you know testing the limits of the Public Funds Investment Act, because that obviously wouldn't be smart.
So do we need to adopt the new policy?
But
I move that we accept the new investment policy as written.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we move a couple of things on the agenda?
oh yeah, sure.
Okay, let's, adopt the order for the election of the directors before the park rules, because I think park rules are gonna involve a discussion.
Sure.
Fair enough.
All right, so so is there a resolution we have to read or anything, or are we just?
Yep, I have
adopt
an
the
order
for
calling the election.
Joint election agreement?
That's right, and the joint election agreement, Montgomery County, so this would be another joint election with the county. And just let me know if you have any questions.
There's an election services agreement too.
And the election is on
That's
May?
right, that's right, they are both
The
with,
second?
they are both with Montgomery County,
Okay,
first Saturday.
okay, first Saturday in May, okay,
So just as we've done with the last couple of elections, in the event we were to have a contested election, it would be a joint election with the
Seven.
county.
okay.
Voters would vote, you know, in the same way they'll vote for anything else that's on the ballot. Same locations, all that good stuff. You will be responsible in the event of a contested election for your pro rata share. of the election costs. That will largely be dictated by the number of entities having elections and obviously ultimately what those costs end up being, so.
And when are ballots, applications due by?
An application for a
Deadline?
place on the ballot is due by February 18th.
February
And a few
18th.
more days to file as a write-in candidate.
Okay,
How many positions?
Three.
three,
Three? Who's up?
Mark, myself, and Tim. Okay. Richard, can we get some, or somebody, whoever's gonna be in charge, can we get something posted on the website stating that we have an election coming up on May 7th?
Yeah.
The,
I think it's
application for, it's
Deadline.
not on there.
Yeah, it's on there somewhere, I saw it.
Well, it wasn't on there Friday.
I'll make sure, I'll check on it
The,
tomorrow.
the deadline for the application is February
18th.
18th? 18th.
We have a notice that we sent to,
Yeah, it's
that
on the
Richard
window.
has posted up here.
Yeah.
So maybe you put that same notice
Yeah.
up unless you think that there's more.
Cause that's just 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, I know, that's why I'm saying we gotta get it
I think what,
out.
last election we had 7 or 8,
Yeah, a lot,
so.
yeah.
We've had the notice posted up where we
The notice-
post the meeting notices for a
Yeah.
few months, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask one more?
Uh-huh.
On the board, how many meetings can you miss? Or, I mean, are you required to go to so many?
I believe it's half, but I'll leave that.
I'm just curious.
Let me say that you are not required by law
Yeah.
to attend the meetings. There is a process by which you can be removed if you fail to attend 1/2 or more of the meetings during the prior year.
Has that happened with any of the directors?
No,
Not to my knowledge.
not yet.
I'll probably come as close as anybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you probably did a couple of years ago. Yeah. But- Okay,
Good to know.
yeah. So we need to adopt an order for election.
We have to call the election, and so what we'll do is, you know, in the event we were able to cancel the election and, you know, save that money, we'll notify the county as soon as possible. If we have a contested election, we will, go full steam ahead.
So do I have?
So we won't know until February 19th.
Right,
You won't know
If we have-
until,
That's pretty,
you know, February 18th, you know, 5 o'clock on February 18th, if you have someone else on the ballot, and again, it'll be the next week, and whether or not someone files as a write-in candidate.
But you also-
Generally, we have someone file.
So when we have our next meeting, we will know if we're gonna need an election or not.
no, because the write-in is the next week.
gotta check
The
the
write-in
write-in
is the
date.
next day. The write-in
The
candidate.
day
And is
after
it
our
the,
meeting.
wait, didn't you say the 25th was the last day to remove?
24th is your next meeting. The write-in, we just don't have very many people file,
Write-in.
as write-ins. It's 23rd, 24th, 25th, something like that, to file as a write-in, so.
All right.
It's tough to get elected, filing as a write-in, so we don't, I don't wanna say it's never happened, but we don't see it very
So
often.
we should have an idea on the 24th. So, okay, so do I have a motion to adopt the order for the election of
I
directors?
so, I so moved.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay. Okay, do we
That
want to,
includes both the election agreement and the joint agreement.
That's right, in the order for the, election of directors, it says that we are going to have, an agreement.
Okay.
We're gonna have an election with Montgomery County, and so, yes, that's all
Okay.
included. We'll, as part of the
Richard,
adoption
are
of
you
the order.
getting your volume back there? I mean, some of us, I'm not talking real loud, and I know sometimes you're not.
Oh, sure.
it picks up like
Yeah,
dropping
Well,
something.
I tested it today and it's
I was
worked
just curious
really
if you're
good.
getting, hearing people back there.
Okay, so let's go on to discuss the hiring of the management company. So Richard, you told us last year that you thought 2023 was gonna be your last year. So we had discussed on the board, I don't know if you were at the meeting when we discussed it or not, were you there when we discussed it?
A couple
So,
times we
okay.
have, I think. in the
Um,
past.
But I think the board, we need to look at contingency plans. In case Richard is going to retire in April of 2023,
Yes.
that's only a year away.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying your plan is at this time?
That was the general plan, yes.
Okay. Is that still the plan?
Well, as I commented to you one time, I said, if I'm needed to stay on board past that, and I don't have any health issues, thank God, so I don't mind doing that.
Okay.
It was just a general
Okay,
thing,
okay.
but I'll leave it up to the board, your
Okay,
decision.
well, I just think we need to start looking at our options and, because a year will fly. I mean, just look at how this past year flew.
Right.
So, we've gotta start making, especially with all the bond things coming up and all the construction projects coming up, we've gotta start looking at some options.
I've always thought we need a contingency plan.
Okay.
My problem is, I don't have any data on any of these companies that we're talking about. So I'm not in a position to make any kind of choice.
We're not making, I don't think we're making a decision tonight. I think
No,
we're just
just
discussing whether that's the
Right.
way we wanna go down the road looking at, or,
I think it needs to be looked at, yes.
And again, I'm already preparing for a lot of it. A lot of stuff I let Davis and those guys handle now, and other companies, accounting, little things I'm just shifting off to them because I know that a management company won't do those things.
okay.
So I'm eliminating a lot of stuff already, so the transition will be pretty smooth.
Speaking of, is the bookkeeping company still gonna keep doing our payroll? Cause remember, didn't they tell us they weren't gonna do it?
They're gonna do ours because we're the only one,
Okay,
and we have less than 10 employees.
okay,
So yeah, we don't have to worry about that.
okay,
I forgot to mention one more thing about that, now that you brought that up.
okay,
The cost factor for the accounting firm is gonna go up too,
oh, cool.
because of the bond, handling the bond and
Oh,
setting
yeah,
up the
yeah.
accounts and all that. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to make you guys aware of that, so you don't get shocked on that.
I just figured it was gonna be across the board 15-20% because of COVID. So, like everybody else is doing, so,
Yeah, no, it's because of the
Okay.
bond issues.
okay. So, do we wanna go down, oh, cool.
Now, there are other things that I'm currently still operating on, for instance, even with the FEMA project. I'm trying to work with them to transfer that to Taylor,
Okay,
because he's the engineer, he will be the engineer on that project. Dealing with the feds is a little bit of an issue, they don't like changing, but I've been working with them already, so I'm trying to
so is it
transition
looking
that.
like we're gonna get any money from them?
We're still eligible for $260,000 of the original
Right.
engineering estimate.
Okay.
Anything that's past that, we're gonna have to absorb
Right,
within a certain limit, because there is a cushion in there, we can increase it based on, there was X amount of square footage here, but when we actually tore the wall out, there's twice as much, then there is some allowance for that.
But that's subject to obtaining a core permit, is that right?
We do have the core permit,
You have the core permit?
yes.
I mean, now we're just working with FEMA.
Yep, I got that now,
Got it, okay,
okay.
so,
good job.
yep. That was-
Davis or Paul, do you have anything to add to the potential management transition?
The only thing I will say is, Richard obviously and his team, do a ton, right? They know where all the bodies are buried. Richard's been out here, touching every pipe, nut, piece of equipment for a long time. And so my suggestion would be to come up with an overlap structure that,
I think we had discussed a year, keeping them a year and making sure they kept the employees for as long as the employees wanted to stay or
right,
whatever.
and
Yeah,
exactly, you obviously have employees to consider and, all of that, so, my, it is not as though, if everyone left one day, an operator would be able to show up and just,
Yeah,
right,
operate the facilities the
Correct.
next. They could go out to the plants, right, and
Right.
kind of do the basics, but they're not gonna know where all the pipes are
Right.
and all the files are and all the information is, so. There's
Well,
gonna be a lot of information.
and I can
to
tell you
absorb.
from my experience, Richard came over and found where the
sewer line.
sewer line went into my house, and how many, 2 plumbers were out there and couldn't find it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
they'll-
I
yeah,
hope
they-
that sewer line came out of your house, not into your house.
don't even talk about that. So, don't even go there.
When it backs up, it does the opposite.
Yeah, let's not even talk about that right now.
But even when the time is that you do that, I understandably would deal with that, because Davis is right, there's a lot of stuff. Management companies can come in, they can take, in 3 months, they'll have the plant up and running.
Right.
I'm not worried about that, because that's what they do for a living. It's looking at stuff that they don't know about,
Right.
particularly the way the plant operates. It's totally different than other plants.
Well, would a year give you enough time to get them up to speed?
Oh, yeah.
A year and whatever, by the time we got them, probably 11 months, 10 months?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just what I'm looking
Yeah.
at. I mean, even though I'm not the one that brought this up, but I'm just looking at, what happens down the road when you decide you want to retire. We gotta have notice and we gotta
Oh, yeah,
be
of course.
ready to go. Because I know from other, not just MUDs, but utility districts, there's nobody out there anymore that you can hire to do this. No individuals.
Not that I could find. And I was looking for a year and a half.
Unless you wanna build one in a year's probably not enough time.
Well, there just aren't people out there to do
Yeah,
it.
people
There
that
aren't-
wanna run it.
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
licensing requirements and
Yeah, all of that stuff is and it's and I'm kind of unique, and I probably shouldn't have put myself in this corner, but, I mean, I can operate as well as manage, as well as handle the financial, and most of the legal stuff, which, like I said, I'm turning back over to Tim. So trying to find somebody that knows all of those things is really gonna be hard to do.
so do we wanna pursue this, we think, or
Oh, we have.
table it? Yeah.
How would you suggest we pursue it? Do we get people to come?
I say we get
look at it,
management
give us
companies,
quotes, and-
yeah, we get management companies to come give us a,
Before we can make a
Presentation.
decision, we have to look at,
Well,
we're
I'm
spending
not asking
$20,000,
you to make a
$35,000
decision.
a month on personnel.
right. And we're not asking to make a decision tonight,
No, no,
I'm
I'm not
just, do we
saying
wanna
that.
pursue
But do we want
exploring
to
it?
get some of these management companies to come out and give us quotes and give us idea what they can or not do,
That's,
can or won't?
Yep.
I mean, that, to me, that'd be the way to
Right.
start, but I don't know anything about it.
well, who were you on the committee with? Or was it just you? Didn't we have a
It
committee
was,
on the management?
me and Gerard,
Okay,
and he didn't show up,
okay.
so it was me.
What happened to all those companies that came out?
You
and
have
looked at
4
the plan?
proposals,
Yeah.
right? And,
Yeah.
and
One of them is now gone.
yeah, one of them contacted me and said, or I had a exchange with, and they said that they have too much business now.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
and
you
I don't
have-
think, it must have been if Gerard was on there with you, Tom must have been on the board then too, because I was thinking it was before them. I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No.
but I was thinking it was before them,
Before who?
you and Gerard being on the board that we discussed it.
y'all solicited the proposals, and then
Yeah.
after the election, there was a committee set up with Gerard and Tim to review them and kind of come up with a path forward.
Okay,
That's how it happened, and then as Tim said, unfortunately, that wasn't a successful committee, and it's not, not Tim's fault, obviously, at all there, but, and so the idea, I think, would be to pick up where you left off and get updated proposals, and then, I think the next steps would be to have them come in and interview and that kind of thing, and I think now would be the time to start. There's no time like the present to start, that way you don't get in a bind.
Yeah,
and we've only got, if we only had 4
Yeah.
proposals to begin with and one's withdrawn, we only have 3.
You have
Correct.
So why not have 3 come in and give
Very
us
strong
presentations?
So they are all, I will say, reputable
Yeah.
operators that we have had good experience with. And I know are all very interested. So, I think they'd be happy to meet with you and talk with you, anytime, that you think is right. And I think that, appointing a director or two, to kind of have those conversations, and work on timing and honestly have some more conversations with Richard and figure out how that transition might work and make a recommendation there. I think would be a great idea, because that is a unique part of this process, or will be a unique part of this process. I mean, these operators have all come in and, you know, bid on, not really bid on, and interviewed for, districts that had another operator, right? And I'm sure they've all taken over districts that also had a general manager and in-house personnel. When it's operator to operator, you know, it's what kind of software do you use? We're uploading the data, right? When you are talking about an in-house operation like this, especially with a jack of all trades like Richard, who's been around for so long, there's just a lot for them to absorb, and it's all those situations are really unique. And I think that there's some real conversation that should be had with each of them about how do you propose to handle this, how do you envision this working, all of that kind of stuff. And that's not really something that you can, I think, get a really good feel for from a written proposal.
Should we invite them to next month's meeting and like interview them one at a time, or let them make a presentation, or what?
My thought is that you appoint a committee of 2 to go out, talk to all 3 of them, really get the proposals and all the information where you want it. The hard part about the proposals is they're never gonna be perfectly apples to apples, right? Their structures on how they do things will always be a little bit different. One of them is gonna own, you know, maybe own a piece of equipment that where the other one subs it out. They might do their billing a little bit differently. I will say that hiring an operator is much like, you know, when we had the conversation about hiring a new engineer, right? You can sit there and look at rates, and, you know, all of that stuff is really important. But in the end, you know, none of these 3 operators are ones that I've personally seen or would call, you know, uniquely expensive. They all kind of know where the market is, and, you know, unless you can predict exactly what, let them both do the exact same job, right? It's very difficult to tell exactly who's gonna be, you know, they're all gonna be, I would expect them all to be pretty close. So it's important that you hire someone that you have a lot of confidence in, and have a long-term, you know, business relationship with, and think is gonna do a really good job with your facilities. And those are the things that I would really focus on. And like I said, I think they're all 3 qualified candidates that, you know, our clients have had a good relationship with. But if there's another one that y'all wanna look at, you know, please, you know.
So, since we had one person that was on the committee who apparently didn't show up, can we appoint someone else to that committee?
You can absolutely appoint,
Start all over.
2 directors. Yeah, now, what I can do is I can resend out the information that we collected last time from those 3 companies. And I can let them all know to expect to hear from, you know, 2 board members. You know, maybe y'all go meet with them for a little bit, here, there, wherever. And, I say y'all meaning the committee of 2. Talk with Richard. You know, Richard could be a very, you know, valuable part of this process too. And just decide how and when you wanna come back to the board with a suggestion, if that makes sense.
Well, since Tim, I'm gonna make a recommendation, since Tim's already been looking at it and researching it, that he be on the committee, that he stay on the committee. Either one of you guys wanna be on the committee? I can't commit to anything right now this time of year.
I'm really serious about not running, and I'd hate to start this process, this year-long process or whatever, getting it and not being able to finish.
So all we got to do is change your mind about running.
That's right.
I'm about to retire, which means I should have plenty of time.
That's right.
But I'm planning on being on the road a lot,
Yeah.
at least the early
See
part
the
of my
kids.
retirement. See the kids, just
Good.
when something pops up.
Good for you.
Well, you can't accept.
Well, that kinda narrows it down.
Kind of narrows it down to
All eyes on you, Tom.
Okay, there you go, Tom.
I'm sorry, Tom, I didn't mean it, but I just,
Are you good with it?
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind being involved, but I wanna, like I said, I'm just sitting here looking on a piece of paper, so no, we can't make a decision, we gotta start.
Absolutely.
Right.
We gotta figure out
Right.
who the players are, what they're gonna do for us, what they're gonna charge us.
Right.
you know.
Well, I think we've already got 3 that we put out requests for.
You wanna know who the representative coming to your meeting
Yeah.
is. You wanna, look at their experience, the other districts that they operate, their capabilities, the equipment, all of that stuff. They're all gonna have,
And then
operators with water and wastewater licenses and be able to tell you
we
that they
actually need
operate.
somebody that can be involved with parks as well now.
Right, and
Yeah.
that may be something that they'll, help you with. You may have a, mowing contractor that, there are a bunch of different ways that you
Yeah.
can do that.
Okay,
Okay. Okay.
I don't have a
so
problem.
do we have to make a motion?
To set up the committee?
Yeah,
Does it need to be a motion or just?
I don't know.
I think that's a good idea, just, I
Okay.
think we did that last time.
Yeah,
So,
okay, all right. Do I have,
I make a motion that we set up a committee to investigate management companies
in the future?
in the future, near future.
Yeah.
I second.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I think the last thing on the agenda, other than pending business and executive session, is park rules. And I'll start this discussion, because I kind of was one that initiated this whole thing, so, but,
Okay.
the problem is, we're having people, motorcycles, trucks, 4-year-olds driving golf carts, okay? When I met with the sheriff's department, and I talked to the constable, but when I met with the sheriff's department, the signs were posted, he did see the signs, they are willing to enforce it, but they don't want any, and Paul, you may chime in here if you want to, but they don't want any, well, that golf cart can, but not that golf cart. He also informed me that as of September 1st, it's illegal to drive golf carts on the roads without license plates on them.
Correct, and a driver's license.
And a driver's license, that's correct. So, and as we were standing there, about 4 of them went by. So, but what he said was they've gotta pick what they're gonna enforce and things like that. But I have a problem with the 4-year-olds driving golf carts down the cart
We
path.
all have.
But how are you gonna put that on the
It's
sign?
easy, we qualify this where it says no unauthorized vehicles. First, we say about what's authorized. Golf carts, no off-road vehicles, no ATVs, no motorcycles, if you have to. But you can say golf carts and our maintenance equipment are the only thing that's authorized. Part 1. Part 2.
How big's that
golf
sign gonna be?
Golf carts, I'm just adding 2 lines. Golf carts have to have an adult
With a driver's license.
with a driver's license driving
Licensed
the
driver.
vehicle.
Driver must have a driver's
Minors
license.
can drive them on the park. You have to put that in this wording here, 2 lines, basically.
On the signs?
Yeah, on the sign, spells out, if you bring an ATV out here.
Oh, I know you have to put it on
We're
the sign, but I'm just saying
we're
there's.
gonna run you out. If you have a kid driving a golf cart, you're going to be sent away. But I think we have to, in fairness to our people, we have to allow golf carts to use it. We've got a lot of people that have gone out and bought golf carts with the purpose of just driving down the thing.
Yeah.
And that's all they're doing. And most of them are adults, believe it or not.
Okay, so what are you gonna do if somebody's walking?
Can I say something here real quick? So,
Yeah.
y'all are the board, we're here to help you do the best job you can, so y'all make the decisions here. You have a set of park rules that you passed already,
Yeah,
and we did that when we, acquired through condemnation, and I know that's almost over, and congratulations, by the way, I didn't get to say that earlier on the bond. So, you're gonna own the park fully pretty soon, and as part of the process, you already adopted a set of park rules and posted signs about it. Your rules prohibit a vehicle of any kind which includes golf carts. And so I'm not telling you you can't change that, but I just want to be clear for this meeting that golf carts are currently unauthorized and are subject to a $10,000 per violation penalty. If you want to change that, you can change it. But as what you've heard is, it has to be a change that's sensible. It has to be uniform. There can be no discrimination of any kind. But you will have to have a change if you want to allow golf carts, and you will have to, probably specify things about where golf carts can go, and hours, and safe behaviors, and things like that. And so the reason, and I'm just telling you all information that I know, the reason most of our clients do this is they just say no vehicles at all because you don't want to get in the regulation of vehicles business, right? So that's how we got to where we are, and that's where you are. But if you want to change it, we can certainly help you do that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that it's my opinion that we owe it to our contingency out here to do it, because the state has made it illegal for them to drive on the street. They bought houses out there with the idea they could drive with the golf cart or course to play golf. So the only way that they're gonna be able to do that is if we allow them to drive golf carts out there. There's a lot of handicapped people that have asked, can I drive my golf cart on the golf course or on the Charleston? So I think we owe it to these people to give them access to the golf carts. But we don't owe motorcycles, four-wheel drives, that kind of thing. And we also have already on here, areas open from sunrise to sunset.
And nobody's paying attention
So
to
you
that
have a
either.
time frame already in there. All we have to do is say what an authorized vehicle is and an authorized driver. We do that, and I think we've solved the problem. Letting them use the golf carts with a qualified licensed driver, no kids. You know, because I've seen kids drive those stupid things over the tee boxes and fly them for 10 feet in the air, you know?
Yeah.
We gotta stop that, obviously. So they have to be driven responsibly by an adult.
Well, I mean, that would require us to put in another line that maximizes the horsepower of an engine
I
or
was gonna say, what qualifies as a
Wheel-
golf cart versus
wheelbase
an
length
ATV
or
versus
something
a,
like that.
yeah.
We would do it by vehicle weight and engine size, and I think you can reasonably define a golf cart, in your rules.
Yeah, because some of them can have like 2 or 3 rows of seats, and some of them only have 2.
My
Yeah.
experience with it is really just that the more
Start making
complicated
additions. Yep.
you make the rules,
Exceptions.
I think the less likely you are to have the constables
Enforce
or
it.
Well, we
the
probably
sheriff's
talked to them.
department,
Well, you talk to the constable, I'll talk to
actively
the sheriff's
enforce it.
department. And
Right,
not
because
gonna
they're
do
not gonna
except
come
this,
out and
except that.
inspect the
Yeah,
horsepower.
they will if we.
Wheelbase.
Sheriff's Department
Anything
is
like
not
that.
gonna do, except this, except on that, they're not gonna do exceptions.
Well, I'm not gonna be happy if we don't allow it, so.
And I'm with Tom, 100% with Tom.
I know,
It's a
my
golf
friends that
course
work for the
community.
city,
I agree, and that's why I knew this was gonna take some time, because, how do you
So-
make that
so
a
what's the
walking, how
argument?
do you make those walk?
But let me go back a second. When I started telling you what I thought, I told you we can make a 2-line insertion in here. What's wrong with what I was saying there? Does that not qualify it good enough?
No, I think that that's a good qualification. I mean, we would also need to amend the rules,
Right.
in the document itself, but I think that that's absolutely
I
something
don't know,
that you
did
can
you do
do.
that one, or who did this one?
Here's what
We put it together kind of collectively. We
Yeah.
approved it at a board
The
meeting.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we did. So the thing is are we gonna make the previous golf cart path walking trails or cart paths? Make a decision, because that's what we gotta do.
I walk
because-
Charleston just
Okay.
about every day.
Okay,
I've never seen a problem with pedestrians and golf carts at the
so
same
which one
time.
has to give way? I don't know, cause I don't walk, I'm just asking, I
Yeah,
don't walk there.
I haven't driven my
So-
golf cart in Charleston in a long time, but
Okay,
typically I would give way to a pedestrian just like anywhere else.
okay. Okay. Yes, Richard?
all my friends that work for the city of Conroe in the Parks Division, she said they don't allow any vehicles, period. They don't want the liability, they don't want, you can't make a discretion And you can't be discriminative. They said the best thing is just don't have them on their period, and that's what they enforce, no vehicles.
Wow.
They have a different situation than we do too. Like I said, we have
Still a park.
700 people that have bought golf carts on
But they don't go up to Conroe Country Club or whatever and close down a whole section of it and say, you can drive your golf carts over here, but you
Yeah,
can't drive them
that's
over
right.
here.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just think they owe it to the people out there to let them use their golf carts.
Can I ask, are people going down the cart path, or are
Oh,
they
yeah.
going in the fairway,
Well,
or?
both.
No, almost all of them go down the cart path.
They-
On the with golf carts, the motorcycles and that are not.
That's what I said, with those ones, you can't.
But that might be a good thought too, that might help. I mean, just kind of
Right.
thinking out loud, I mean, one of the ways, I have another client that has a similar situation, right? It's a large gated community, people have vehicles, they're starting to have problems with vehicles. They want to develop a park, just like y'all are. And one of the things that we've kind of discussed and agreed there is that the best way to control vehicles is to give them some sort of defined place, right? You know that, you know, this is a vehicle place, or this is, you know, so people aren't jumping over what used to
So
be
if
the
we-
greens or
yeah.
something like that.
So if we give the golf carts a cart path, where are we supposed to walk?
I think they can walk on the cart path.
They do. I mean, that's like I
They
said,
do
that's
it
what,
now.
you know, I know in the last 2 years, there's been some kids or been adults or whatever that have violated it, but, I mean, I go in and out of there every day. I have not yet seen someone like you guys have.
Okay.
So I mean, it's maybe a timing thing or something, but,
Yeah, because it's usually not in the morning,
yeah,
Right.
so,
I mean, that's when I
Yeah.
walk.
It's sunset.
it's, yeah,
You know, nighttime, yeah.
right,
In the summertime, the kids are gonna do there, and
right,
like I said,
yeah.
we're not gonna
Can
have a
But you know what,
we're not gonna
most
have-
of them are not kids.
That helps.
Most of them are adults.
Well, you know, and I will put this, when we had 27 holes, you know, especially back towards Brandon and stuff, you know, we had problems with people that bought houses on golf carts and didn't want golfers anywhere near their house.
Yeah.
And you know, with big fights, they drive their four-wheel drivers onto the course. I mean, it's a problem.
Yeah,
And that's when you talk to them and you start dialing, so, excuse me, I'm calling up Gene the constable, he
oh
should be
yeah,
here.
well, I did that.
And then they'll, not that he'll show up.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
You have
I mean,
the rules in place now to address,
That's right.
to address the problem situations,
Right.
right? So if we wanna allow golf carts, then we need to write that into
Right.
the rules.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Put that
Right.
back in front of you.
So, board, you would need, and you can ask us to do this now, so for next month, you would just have us put on the agenda an item for consideration of possible amendment to the rules. But the other thing I wanna just remind you is, the constable report, not your only one, your rules authorize you to enforce them. So we have other clients that do this. You haven't done this yet. We would have to help Richard with the forms, but the district can issue a violation and set a hearing, and it's usually you do it during the meeting because you don't want to have to come down again. But if you have people who you know who they are, you can send them a violation, a certified letter, hand delivery, however, and tell them we're having a violation hearing at the next meeting. Bring them down. You can give them a warning. If they keep doing it, you can fine them. So you don't have to sit by and just at the mercy of law enforcement, which I know has many, irons in the fire and can't always come out here. So I just want to remind you about that. And we do that all the time for other clients, and can help y'all with that if you're interested in that.
They don't just wad up the letter and throw it away and laugh, or,
I mean, they can, but then what happens is you fine them. And then they get a fine notice in the mail, and if they throw that in the trash, they get served with a civil lawsuit to recover the fine plus your attorney's fees. It's really no joke. And it may be that the first one or two do that, but once word gets out that you're serious about it, it will stop.
Well, I can say this, I called the constable on one over on 2 they were running a 4-wheeler up on that thing almost every day. And I called him and said, this is where they live, this is what they're doing, you go there and watch and you can't find them. Within 24 hours, that thing disappeared. I know he
Good.
went over there. So, I just called him and said, hey, I need your help, take care of this for me. I said, Gene told you to do it, right? And he said, yeah. I said, okay. So he too went over and took care of it. And I haven't seen it since. I don't know what they've done with it. But I'm not gonna stop till we can approve this, and I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to authorize golf carts to use the cart pass with,
And only the cart pass.
Huh?
And only the cart pass.
Only the cart pass, and during the daylight hours and with a licensed driver, no juveniles. I would like to see that put on something like these rules or the new rules. I don't wanna wait another month or two. We've got a lot of people out here now that are using it regardless. You know, and let's get it straight. Let's get the motorcycles on.
Can you, and I'm asking Davis and Paul, probably Paul better. Can you require someone to be a licensed driver on private property?
Yes.
Well, you can set whatever rules you have that are reasonable. You know, if you're gonna do golf carts, I think that generally implies you don't have to be 18 with a license or whatever it is. It's just something you'd have to think about, 16 or above, 16 with an adult or 18 and above, you know, however you wanted to do it.
Well, actually, the law, because I looked into it and I read it, the law says you must be a licensed driver, you must have a license plate, turn signals, brake lights, headlights.
That's to drive them on the street.
That's, yeah, it's the street.
And you're only allowed to drive them within 2 miles of the golf course that you're driving to. It's designed to be to and from your house to the golf course. It's not supposed to be, I'm gonna drive over to Aunt Sally's house and make some cookies. It's not that kind of design.
That's just on the road though, right?
We've got people in Crown
That's the
Ridge.
state law.
That that are more than 2 miles.
I mean, that's the state law.
But that's
They come
traffic
to the
code and that's
A
not
lot of them
private
stop doing
property.
that. It's just, it's rough on the cart. A lot of them go all the way around by the C-store now.
Let me say this, I mean, if you want to amend the rules, we can prepare the amendment. I mean, obviously you can vote on it today. We would need it, you know, now that we know what you want to include in the rules, we can write up the new rules, you know, to get
So
voted
you want
on
us to make a
next
motion?
month. But we amend the rules, you need new signs, so I think your kind of expense is new signage. We would get
He's
the
sitting there
signs
ready to print them right now, once we give him one.
updated. And once the signs are updated, you know, if it's not something that works, then you can come back and you know, and revisit, right? And so your risk is, you know, a round of signs. Maybe you give it, you know, 6 months or something like that and see if you have a problem with enforcement or whatever, so. But whatever you think.
So where are we going with it? Are we gonna make the amendment or we're not?
Make a motion.
You gotta make a motion for people to
So
vote
do
on
you-
it. And what's it, it's specific, what's it gonna say?
Yeah, I
What's the
want to make a
motion?
motion that we amend the rules to allow golf carts with, to use the golf cart pass during daylight hours.
With
And
a legal driver.
But, is it gonna be a licensed or
A legal driver.
and a legal driver? I don't know what's legal.
Licensed
Maybe a
driver,
licensed driver, anyone who's
Okay,
qualified to
a
operate a
licensed
motor
driver.
vehicle on the road in the state.
state of Texas
And-
authorized.
And unauthorized vehicles would include motorcycles, off-wheel road, vehicles.
You gotta put that in,
ATVs.
you're gonna put that all on the sign?
You put line one, these are authorized, golf carts and our utility equipment. That's all that would be listed as authorized vehicles.
I don't think you're
How
gonna,
big
I
is that sign gonna
was
be?
gonna say, I don't think you're gonna get all that on one line.
Well, there's
Well, we get rid of
different
that
size
thing about no
signs.
smoking.
I mean,
We can write in the rules on, we can tweak the sign. but will be more detailed in the document itself,
Right.
if that makes sense.
And then we can post the new rules on the
You can write
website.
golf carts only on the sign and then be more
Yep.
specific.
Can we just get a QR code?
There we
Everybody's got a
go.
phone.
Oh, yeah, we can make them pay permits too.
Just like a menu.
That's
Okay,
considering
so-
nobody
No.
steals the
Wait a
signs.
minute.
How many signs have we had
I just
stolen,
made a motion, are we
Richard?
gonna do
10.
it or not?
10 signs stolen.
I second the motion.
Okay, well, now we got a motion and a second.
I seconded it, but I also want to add something else to it before we accept it. We need to have something on the sign that says no parking.
Okay?
Because we have people parking on Charleston and driving their cars up
Yeah,
onto
right.
the edge of
I
Charleston.
thought that we already had that,
It's
so
not on there.
it's not on this one.
That's the
We,
rules.
That's the
we
one,
do,
yeah.
Tim, just so you know, again, some of this may be an enforcement issue. Your rules are by very good lawyers that have done this for many clients. And so the rules say only one place you can have a vehicle is in a proper parking lot or on the shoulder of a road for a limited time if you're dropping somebody off, doing something like that. So that's in there, but if we need to specify, tell us the problem you're seeing, and we may be able to address it in more detail in the amended rules.
Okay?
So tell us what the problem is.
Because obviously no vehicle would address a parking, issue.
Right. Right,
The sign is really, from a signage standpoint, to Julie's point, the bigger and more complicated you make the sign, the less effective it is, right? So the whole idea of the sign is come up with a simple way to make clear to someone using the park what I'll call the core kind of regular usage issues are. And I think we can reasonably do that, and if we think we need to add, parking.
Of course, if we make the sign big enough and heavy enough, they won't steal them.
That's right.
Yeah,
We can
That's
better
right.
make them out,
granted,
make them out granite.
Exactly.
All right, I second the amendment.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have one nay.
Who's that?
Me.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
Me.
Gerard.
No. It's not here. No.
All right, well, you lose.
Okay. I know. So, I don't care. I have my vote. That's fine.
That's fair, I
That's
don't have a
fine.
problem.
So, I'm entitled to vote.
All right.
So,
That's right.
Our
and that's my
rules is
vote.
done.
And I'm glad
Okay.
you got to do it.
So,
On
okay.
to 14.
All right. Do we need executive session for anything?
not unless there's anything. that Paul
Oh,
wants
pending
to
business.
add.
Paul wants to, do we have any pending business or do we need
Yeah.
executive
Paul,
session?
Paul,
No,
maybe
no.
in pending business, you wanna just say what you're thinking the agenda items will be, next month?
Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to give you all a heads up, Lord. We're real close to being complete with the Charleston Park condemnation. Today helped with that. And so next month, we will have some action items for you to authorize disbursement of the funds and things, and we'll get that all lawyered up for you. But you'll be authorizing the payment next month, and so by the March meeting, you will have paid in full and be the owners of the park.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, which is excellent. Really, really happy for you guys. Very proud of
We
what
can have a
y'all
London
done.
Thanks
party.
for your work too.
Thank you.
Middle of it.
That's right. Maybe it'll rain and we can
So
mud
do
it.
we have
Jump
checks
some
to sign? still?
RVs.
There you go.
Do we have checks to sign?
On
No.
third,
Oh,
That's
yes.
it, Paul? Wait, are
Yes,
we done?
that's it. That's all. I just wanted to
Okay.
alert y'all because those things are going to be coming up. We have time-sensitive deadlines because of our agreement with the property owner, but we'll have that covered for you.
Okay.
All right.
on
Alright.
park
Thank
rules,
you.
I was gonna bring up that,
No smoking thing?
no,
Oh.
that's all right.
Okay.
I'll take my chances with Gene.
Okay.
I smoke a cigar when I go out walking.
Listen, we just included standard rules, we sent them around,
Do we need something else added?
No, there's a
Or
thing
take
about
away?
the disc,
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
Oh,
Sure.
yeah. Yep.
okay. I talked to the, John
So,
Hofstra.
wait a minute, nobody else knows besides you and I and Davis.
Uh,
So, just to fill you guys in, you wanna fill them in on what
Yeah.
your contact, so they know what you're talking about?
There's a John Hofstra that works for Lone Star Disc,
okay.
disc frisbee stuff.
Put half of
And
it.
he
Are you listening to what he's
approached
saying?
the owner of the golf course
Right.
to use Charleston, not knowing that he doesn't own it. So the owner passed it on to Doug Skinner, who forwarded it to me. So I talked with John Hofstra, and I brought up the part about them wanting to rent or lease, and that bringing in the fact, using it tax-free funds for profit might not be a great idea. He understood that, but he also mentioned that they would be willing to donate the Frisbee golf stuff and maintain it for the use of it. In my understanding, it's a public park,
Right?
so that's a use. It would run into parking problems.
Yeah.
Um,
And what's
We
the
already,
conflict with the one, the disc golf park?
we already
at
have a
the-
disc golf
He
park.
says that one is nice for just nice friendly games, but
Just
for
like
competition, tournaments, they need to be a lot farther apart. So I just told him we would discuss it.
It's up to y'all, I mean, it's certainly it's a public park. If someone wanted to donate a basketball goal or a Frisbee facility or a soccer goal or anything else.
But we'd have to
you could
guarantee
certainly-
their use
Yeah,
of it
my
on
biggest
certain
problem with
dates.
this, the way it's structured, is anything you put out there on that property is gonna be in somebody's backyard. There's just no way around it. You know, so, I mean, do you want a dog park in your backyard? I don't. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's the biggest
completely
problem.
understand.
Well, I think
But I
that,
do have a question for you, Paul. Once we get this done, we've got that pool sitting up here. Can we lease that, let's say,
There
to
you
the
go, Davis.
CIA, or do we just need to cover it up? What?
You can work with the HOA, to take that over, right? There is an issue in using a facility that was financed with tax exempt bonds for revenue generation purposes. But if you entered into, an operation and maintenance agreement with the CIA, for example, where they just would come in and be responsible for the operation and maintenance and repair and everything of the swimming pool and do that at their
So it
expense,
doesn't
then
have to be leased, it just, they can be the operators.
that's right, we could just contract with them to take care of it.
Yeah.
And
So
we
would
could
it-
absolutely do that, but there are actually specific limitations in the TCQ rules that prohibit you from owning, operating, maintaining two primary things that come up on a regular basis. The biggest one being pools, but golf courses also being friendly.
Well, the other reason I'm asking is, we've got it, and it's gonna become a liability for us, in my opinion.
oh, it is.
So we
Yep.
can either change it from a liability, possibly to an asset for the
Right.
neighborhood, or we can fill it up. You know what you got, Tim?
Can you keep it only for the neighborhood though?
Well, that's gonna be difficult, but if the CIA is
If
running.
it's HOA, if it's HOA controlled,
Right.
I think that there's a way that we can structure that, so that.
So then getting back to Mark's deal, if they donated the equipment,
Where am I putting
if they donated the equipment, but we had to guarantee them exclusive access on.
No, and we talked about that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
not for their competitions?
Well,
I mean, I would think if they
it
were gonna
would
have
be
a competition, it would be.
not for like, they're running it, and we have to go through him, us to use it, but they could reserve it. I mean, I don't think he's talking about using it every day.
Oh, I don't,
It'd be like for
I don't think so
competitions or
either.
something, but
But could we keep the community off of it on those days?
I will say this, you could come up with some sort of policy, I think, where you could allow people, to reserve it, right?
yeah,
But
Where would you
it's,
Jaws and
Yeah, the ones up at
5
the
and
front.
6. He wanted the ones up in front.
Let me just
Which
say
would
real
attract
quick, y'all have you have two provisions in your park rules already that are intended to address this kind of circumstance. I've been reviewing them while we're talking. They're not gonna be good enough to accomplish what you want here, so I think we're gonna need to amend them again. But you already have in your rules the ability to have what it's called special events and other types of activities, and there's certain requirements for someone to do that. So we would have to tweak some of it, but I think you could accommodate it if you wanted to.
And it's common practice to
Yeah.
go to a city park and rent the, pavilion or something like that, right? Or
Yeah,
reserve
that's-
the
yeah.
pavilion, so.
And he was okay with, just doing that, so.
I don't know, what's thoughts?
Weird note from the outside is I play disc golf with my friends a lot, all the time, and like the guys who, this John Hawk guy, they do a really good job maintaining facilities. They run some of the nicest golf course, or, quote unquote disc golf courses in the state, and like Austin and things like that, that I've played that are at city parks, so they do a really good job of mowing and maintaining, and they're very clean, so. I just wanted to throw that out there, that this is not like a second-rate ordeal. These are serious guys.
So how many people usually attend these events? So will we have a parking issue?
Yeah, where are they gonna park?
That's
So, as far as events go, they're kind of few and far between, especially with like a newer course, so that would probably not be something you would see right away. You can see anywhere from, I've seen them 10 teams to 20, 25 teams. But there's not like there's a whole bunch of fans or anything like that at something like this. It's mainly just the players.
How many people on a team?
You could do like a 2-person scramble team, similar to golf, or a 1-person team. So it's a very similar to the rules of golf in that scenario, but that would be probably something you would have to work out on the detail side of things for sure. But I don't think these guys are really good to work with, in my opinion. I have a friend that's huge into it that works with them all the time, and it's just pretty legitimate organization. Is kind of what I was getting at.
So.
You think they would mow those 2 holes?
Yeah, I mean, you can talk to them about how maintaining it and what they would be interested in doing, and I think you could definitely get that done.
It saved you 2 holes
Part of
of
it.
mowing.
Yeah.
It would be, how
So,
often they'll use it, and
Yeah,
are they gonna come out and mow it even though they don't have any tournaments for 3 or 4 months?
yeah. I would ask them to give you some sort of proposal, what are you gonna put out there? Where are you gonna put it?
yeah.
How often are you gonna use it? All that kind of
And do
stuff.
we wanna put in a little parking?
Well, we could put some limited parking, but I think we actually have some parking, up here by the,
Golf
hole number
course.
1. Yeah, that hole number
Right.
1 on the southeast.
Yeah, but
side.
that's a long ways from where they're talking about. They're talking about up by the bridge.
Yeah, well, if we let them drive golf carts down there.
I've heard the sirens.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, what are your thoughts? I don't have a biggest problem would be parking and being
To
in
me, the
people's
biggest
neighborhood
problem
and
would be
backyard.
throwing frisbees over the main road.
yeah.
I
I
don't
think the
think
biggest
that's
thing
what
would
they
be
do, but-
coming up with some sort of arrangement with them where if there was some unforeseen issue that arose, that they could take their, equipment out and
Cancel whatever the
move
agreement
on
is.
down the road, right?
And one thing,
So,
I think it would be worthwhile for the board just to entertain it at a meeting. Tell them, hey, come to the meeting and give us a pitch.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
there's another
Yeah.
possibility
Thank you.
for parking though, there could be a lot of parking generated right around Tom Phillips Park there, which
Yeah,
is.
charge for
that
parking
belongs
now.
to the No, that would be the CIA's
And,
responsibility.
and,
But they would have to agree to let us do it, but you can get quite a few cars back up in there.
That, and you could, across from the church,
Yeah.
if you could, it would take some money, but,
they could use the church parking lot.
well,
They could.
we'd have
a long
or
walk.
deal- We wouldn't, they would.
It's a long
They'd have
walk
to
though.
walk. No,
Across
it's
the
not.
bridge.
No, they
no,
all,
they're
no,
working in
there's
2
a,
holes.
yeah, they're working that hole up front by Dee's house and the one across the street.
Yeah, but how do you get from the church parking lot
It's right
to
there.
there
It's right
without
there.
walking across the bridge?
No,
And even the bridge,
go
these
down
guys are
towards-
walking a course.
Yeah. You go down towards, Mosswood, and there's where you cut right into the hole.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's how they're driving across it. You're gonna walk it the same way they're driving it.
Just like a frisbee throw.
Yeah, that's the next question I got. Once we have control of that property, I've already talked to Charlie Riley about putting an emergency access for Mosswood through. And with some homeowners and CIA people, the whole bit, Charlie and everybody else agrees how we would do that. So what would we have to do to give him the right of way to go ahead and do it?
Just to grant an
Huh?
easement. Grant an easement.
Okay, because that's what he's agreed to do, is he'll come in by our well number 3, and he'll put not a major highway or anything, just an emergency road coming out and coming back over to Terra Park,
He actually just said all he was gonna do was use the golf cart path.
basically, but he's gonna expand it a little bit. And he's gonna put a gate
Gate.
up by the Mosswood Drive,
Who's
where they
gonna
get
control
into
the
it,
gate?
and we'll have it locked. And then he's gonna put a retainer along Mosswood Drive up to the bridge, so people can't just go around it
Okay.
and come that way. So he's already agreed to do all of that. It's just a matter of us granting the easement for him to do it.
Yeah, we would grant a public access easement, and it's not uncommon for neighborhoods that have limited access in and out to
Yeah.
have, an alternate means of emergency access.
That's all I'm trying to put
So-
together is an emergency exit, like if it's flooding,
Sure.
that bridge goes under, those people can't get in and out.
Yeah, no, it makes
You
sense.
know, and so if we have, he said he'll do the work, he'll provide the materials and the labor, do the whole thing for us, all we gotta do is grant him access to it.
Yeah, no, I think that's,
So
that
something
makes
you
sense.
can keep on your calendars and do when you need it.
Sure, y'all just tell me when you're ready to do it, we'll need a
As soon as
description.
we had the authority to do it, I will give him the
Okay.
access.
You missed one.
The biggest thing we'll need is in order to dedicate an easement, we'll need a legal description of the easement area. And so, we will need to get a surveyor out there to just kind of survey out the area that will be included in the easement.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
a pretty easy.
But like I said, I had a meeting with Charlie and his guys and Dee, the one that does the pictures, she lives right there.
Oh,
Because I
that's
want her involved, I had some Mosswood people there and the CIA people
And me,
documentation.
there.
and me.
Yeah, and you.
Tom, if you let me know the area, and whenever we're ready, I can have a surveyor go out there and prepare the.
Okay, you know where Plant 3's at, right? And that,
Yes, sir.
that really high road, where they're gonna come up that road, go
Okay.
through those little trees, and then come right around following the golf path, walk over to Terra Park.
If you can just draw a line on some sort of exhibit maybe, and we can figure out what width it needs to be, then I think the surveyor, that would be really
It's
helpful.
gonna make, he said he's only gonna make it like big enough for one car,
1-lane road.
yeah, 1-lane road.
Is that 10 feet, 15 feet?
Yeah.
No,
And it's not, it's probably just
I
gonna
think he
be,
said like 6 or 8 feet.
yeah,
You gotta have
probably
at least
like
8.
crushed
Well, you
gravel
can
or
drive the
something.
golf cart, you can drive
They
a
do
vehicle.
now, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, a golf cart width is pretty much,
he's just gonna enhance it a little bit
Yeah.
so they can get cars through, okay?
Y'all just tell me what you feel comfortable conveying. It'll be public, right? So once we dedicate it to the public, it
And
doesn't
then we're
go
gonna-
away.
And then we're gonna lock it, so they can't get on.
That's right.
The county will lock it.
yeah,
County will lock it.
yes,
Yes.
for emergency use only.
Right. Yeah, I'd say 10 feet would be enough, just running
Okay.
that thing. If he needs more.
But then how am I gonna get my golf cart?
Huh? You're not. We're gonna fix it so a golf cart won't go through there either.
How do I get my dually with a camper through there?
Yeah.
And all the business?
What about the travel trailers?
Is that all the business?
Oh, yeah, that's all the business, I guess. So,
Yeah.
that's all. We're good.
Pending signing checks.
Yep. And they'll be done in 2
Right.
minutes.
I make
I
a
make a
motion.
motion, we,
Okay, adjourn.
yeah, sure.
Okay, second.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank y'all very much. Good work, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Thank you,
Good
Tina.
night. Talk soon. Bye.
See ya.
I don't know how to-
Three.